Yeah, that was probably
okay.
the YouTube and just natural sound kind of mixing
Okay,
together.
because it sounded bad, and so I didn't hit record. I tried to record earlier, and I was like, I don't know what this is, and I was trying to find
Yeah.
my happy background, and I couldn't find it, and that frustrated me. And I'm like, man, I really want that happy background. So, yeah, man.
It's all good.
Dude, I was sitting here like I was like, there are things I want to cover, but I was like, how do I do it? Because one of them is real short, another's real long. Well, not real long, I guess. I'm not going to Kyle Kalinske it, but I don't know.
Use the left lane to keep left onto I-75 North.
Okay, hold on one second. All right, that should interrupt us less now.
All right. I guess I could just do it here in the discussion then. I suppose. I really wish others would get in on this, I'm not a hard ass, I don't think. Just
Well, okay. Here's the thing that I might be discovering about myself. Or I kind of knew already, but I'm gonna say it out loud so that makes it more solid.
Okay.
I'm a bit of an asshole.
Yeah.
And this is a very specific type of asshole.
Oh, okay. Because I'm like, everybody's an asshole to somebody, so it's just, okay.
Right. You can do all sorts of shit that will be like, you know what? I'm just gonna let that slide because it ain't worth me talking about this or talking about that. But when it comes to people that I actually respect and hold some level of respect to, if they then do something that I perceive as like dishonest or just like so contradictory to some other value that they have, that you know what? I said that wrong. If they say something that's contradictory to something they claim to have also value, I'm going to get up in their face about it and be really almost belligerent in the level of attacking them on that. And it's happened with my brother countless times. It's happening again with me and Pro Social right now. And I don't know. I could see the pros and cons to it. And it's hard for me to pick a side on those pros and cons.
It honestly just sounds like you just want to hold them accountable for their words and actions and whatnot. Like you're not gonna straw man them, but if they say something that's messed up, then you're like, you just said this or you did that, then it's like, okay, they might say, wait, I said words in that area, but that's not what I meant, and or
yeah. If they did something like that, that's one thing, but it's denying that they said it at all, or saying no, this is correct because blank blank blank, even if it doesn't actually make that contradiction not a contradiction. You know what I mean? I might be saying that wrong.
No, I think I get what you're saying. How can I say this? It's kind of let's see. It's like the classic thing that happens in Family Guy and The Simpsons. Although I haven't seen those in a few years, but still I know the same formula. It's the main character screws stuff up, and instead of owning up to it and whatnot, they just double down on what they've said until whatever they said is right.
Yeah, basically. And in cartoons that might work, but it doesn't really work with real conversations.
No, not with real conversations. Now, phony conversations, it works all the time, i.e. our government. Yeah,
Exactly.
they'll lie and we'll call them out. And they're like, nope, because it is what it is. And you're like, no. And they're like, we're doing this anyway. It's like, what the hell? And then then it puts us in a position of it's us against them in terms of whatever the country's going to do, which I guess this could segue into what I want to mention. I want to go a short description on what's the difference between big government and small government. And
All right.
it's so short that I was like, damn, I can't do a Medium post on it, and a YouTube post would probably be just 30 seconds. So maybe I don't know, maybe something will come out of this. But here's the difference. Small government will listen to the public at large and do what is needed and judge accordingly, and then input laws that are rational and viable. Where big government doesn't do anything that the public at large says. Big government does what the government wants to do. And a plutocracy, a plutocratic government does whatever the highest paying people tells them to do. Those, I know I threw that third one in there, but I mean, that's the stages of government. And that's how our government has evolved over, I'll say, about 215 years.
Okay.
It started off as people senators, representatives, even the president, and the judiciary system. It was all based on the people say we need this, so they would stop working on their farms or their businesses or whatever slave trade they were doing, and they would go and take their ass to work and start working on this stuff. And while they were at work working on this, the people would pay them. This segues into the title is going to be Our Government, the Greatest Pyramid Scheme in History.
That's a pretty good title.
Because that's what it is. At the bottom of the pyramid, it's extremely wide. It holds the most amount of stuff. That's where we all are. We get up and, for those that can, get up and go to work every day to pay our bills. We get paid just enough to function, but not so much that we don't blame each other for our setbacks and small finances. But that's the base. That's base up to the middle. Now, the middle is the government. The government's supposed to be the ones regulating all of this stuff and making sure that everyone lives comfortably. That's the point. They live comfortably. The laws are set so that everyone is treated equally, and there's no racial divides. There's no systemic racism and all that. The government has failed in that because that's part of their need to function. So the government, right. And so when the government goes to work, we pay them because that's the point. You get your ass up, you go to work, you come up with these laws and do all this legislation for how many days or weeks it takes. And it went from doing that and going back home and doing your daily job to how do we turn this into a career so that the taxpayers consistently pay us this kind of money? And after you do that for like 70 or 80 or 90 years, you kind of think, wait a minute. What if those people we regulate, those business creators, those old money generators, what if we allowed them to pay us? Because it's not necessarily that the government really thought about the shit. No, it's just that those people, those wealthy people were like, how do I get my hands in you and make you do what I want you to do? And when you are someone that doesn't want to be poor and broke, when you don't want to be, you're the upper middle part of the pyramid, you don't want to be in that bottom base. You don't want to be in the support system of the pyramid. You want to be somewhat in that upper middle area of the pyramid. And that's what, when the big people started paying them, it pushed them from the middle of the pyramid to the upper middle. And you got that very top of the pyramid, basically on the dollar bill, that pays all the government to do what they want and make sure that the people at the bottom are nothing more than political cattle and cash cows and sheeple that's going to work hard, make each other work hard, indoctrinate each other into working and working and working, you know, and basically, honestly, that's all it is. It's just us convincing each other to work hard for the government, so we pay their asses our tax money, as well as the government giving those that pay them a lot of our tax money in what we call subsidies. Because someone that's making $10 and $15 billion a year, they don't need an extra $175 million just because.
Right. Now,
So
here's
really it.
Okay. So there's a little. I understand where you're coming from as far as the comparison to big government and small government. It's not how I usually think of it, though. How I usually think of big government and small government is how big government is how much the government actually influences an aspect of society, right? And small government is when the government says, "Okay, I'm not going to do anything about this part of society."
Yes.
And I think that's the typical way people see it. I can't obviously say that for a fact, but that's how I think most people see it.
Yeah, but that's how it is. That's how it is.
Right. But here's how that becomes like a false dichotomy.
Okay.
Because if the government is any kind of government at all, then it has big and small parts.
Yeah.
You can't call the government as a whole big just because, we're going to regulate traffic laws to a very specific degree. So I guess that's big government, right? Like you can't just have no speed limits and no traffic lights or anything like that.
Big government takes money from the small parts of government that helps the little people. That's what big government does. I mean,
right. Right. But big government could also be as simple as, here's the thing. If in that exact same example of the big government taking from the small to do something, you could as easily call it a small government for doing that in the case of stuff like Medicare for All, for example, because it's allowing you to do more by having less restriction on you yourself.
Big government fights Medicare for All. They fight it. Little government says, "Hey, you know what? That's what the people need. It makes sense. We'll get that pushed through, but we got to figure out how to also regulate it so it don't get out of control and everyone lose everything. And there's a good little flow into it so that everyone runs comfortably." Big government says, "Wait a minute, Medicare for All takes away our money. So you want Medicare for All? How about this then? We can pay for everyone's Medicare, but we're going to have to defund things like Planned Parenthood. We're going to have to defund public services. We're going to have to defund, welfare areas and whatnot."
Yeah.
It's like, we'll give you that, but we're going to take away a whole lot of other stuff. And it's kind of like, what the fuck? It's like, well, how else are we going to pay for it? It's like, motherfucker.
This kind of, it's a bit off track, but it's sort of on the same track. If the thing with government saying, we have to defund this and spend this and whatever, it always sounds like a hollow excuse.
It is. It's a fucking lie.
Right. Because it's not like the little pieces of paper that you have aren't. They're meaningless.
There is no inherent value to a dollar bill, whether it's digital or physical.
Right.
That $1 bill is not the end all be all of anything, and it doesn't control the moral value of anything. However, it does, by power of association, influence the negative or positive values of people's personal ideologies, which, as you've gone over, ideologies are fucking dumb anyway.
Yeah. And the main reason I say that is because it's really a decision that they've made to say, oh, we don't want to value your health, basically. Like, oh, we're going to just leave that to somebody else because we don't care. Like,
yes, it's like
if you care about bombing random places more than you care about the health and welfare of your citizens, that's a decision. That's not you are not forced to say, oh, we could totally do this, but we don't have the money for it. Yeah, you do.
They always got the money. And see, here's the thing.
The money is irrelevant. You either decided you're gonna do this or you didn't.
Yep. You know, and to put that in big and small government, this is how it is. Small government makes sure that everyone will have Medicare. They'll make sure that everyone can be seen and it'll be at an affordable, easy price, you know, and there's no price gouging. Everything is at the proper price range. Big government gives you access to those things. Meaning, if your ass is wealthy enough to afford it, you don't have to worry about it. And people they need to understand the word access. You know, I mean, it's like, look, if I told my kid, listen, you like those cookies, don't you? Well, they're inside that bear trap. Now, you got access to them. Can you get them? That's the difference. That's access. Access means there's going to be some shit, but can you do it?
Yeah.
Like every Republican and every fucking establishment Democrat will say everyone should have access to Medicare. They say that.
Everyone should have access to their own well-being. Really? Wow. Thank you.
Your well-being isn't a right. You have to pay for it. Wait, what the fuck? It's like, and now guess what? Now since you're forcing motherfuckers to be born, how is that fair? It's legitimately not fair that you force someone into this world and then say you have to pay for your own health. It's like, no, you raped me into life. Fuck you. You know, there's a difference. It's bad enough. The mother might say, I don't want this rape baby. I don't want this mistake from some party where I fucked up. I don't have the lifestyle. I don't have the finances. And the government says, if you don't keep that thing, I will fucking put you in prison or put you on death row. So now you and the child have been fucking raped, you know? And I've been fuming. I've done one video, but I've been fuming at this whole, you know, what I can and can't do with my body thing. And, you know, just simply
oh, we're afraid of totalitarianism. Oh, but you're totally okay with it on an individual level? Yeah, thanks. Yeah, that totally makes me trust you.
And the greatest argument to I would say swing all these Republicans is this: you're forcing these women to have a baby. You're forcing it. You realize you're forcing yourself to have to pay for child support?
Here's the thing. You know what? Let's pretend for half a second that life has inherent value.
We can try.
That every single baby has to be born because if not, then you have done a disservice to the universe. Right? And that's basically what they're saying by saying, oh, you can't have an abortion. That is basically what they're saying.
Yeah, they're saying you're ruining a lot of shit by killing this kid that's not even a kid yet.
Right. Exactly. So if you are going so far as to say that all life has inherent value, that baby has to be born, then why is it that the second it is born, you don't do anything? You basically say, okay, now you have to stand up on your own 2 feet.
Yep, we forced you into this world.
No,
Bootstraps, bitch.
Yeah, if they're so pro-life, why is there even adoption agencies? that should be like that should be so rare that a kid has to be adopted that it comes off as almost a crime that you hear about someone being orphaned.
You know what? It was kind of like that.
Same level. It should be at the same level if that's the case.
When I was a kid, it was kind of like that. And it was weird because when I was a kid, hearing about someone being adopted, which I am, when you hear about someone being adopted, you basically hear, "Oh, you're a throwaway. No one likes you, and you ain't shit. And we're gonna make sure we treat you like you ain't shit." So when people were adopted, they kept that shit under wraps. You'd rather be cited as crazy than adopted. Because crazy people are feared. Adopted people are attacked. That's how that was when I was a kid. And man, I kept that shit under wraps, and somehow people at school found out. Oh man, I thought I'd never hear the end of it.
Yeah, that's it. I'm actually remembering some instances of that kind of stuff back when I was a kid too, where they'd be just like, "Haha, your parents didn't love you," right?
Like, yep.
Yo, like, what the fuck? I'm here.
What's up? Okay, I'll be honest with you. The kids at school found out before I did. That's the only reason why. When I found out I was adopted, I was 9.
Wow, that's super fucked up.
Yes,
that is super fucked up.
They was telling me. I was also in the behavior emotional handicap class. So they was like, "You're retarded and no one loves you." I'm like, "What the fuck?" You know, I'm like, what, huh? What do you mean no one loves me? It's like, your parents gave you away. What? So when I get home, and normally I want to save this for minds.com, I would save this. But no, I'll just say it here. So when I get home, it's some time later. You know, it's like fucking 5:30 in the afternoon. Mom is sitting there on her bed reading the paper, and I go in there, and she's looking at the paper, and I say, "Mom," and she just looks at me, and I just look at her, and I say, "Am I adopted?" And she just looks at me, and she says, "Yeah," and then she goes back to reading the paper, and I'm like, "The fuck?" Like, I'm stunned. I'm 9 years old, and I'm fucking stunned. Like, okay, she tells me I am. Why in the world is why does everyone know but me? So
yeah,
that's some shit.
That's just fucked up. Like being adopted should be the happiest thing in the world, not the saddest thing in the world.
Yes.
Like, okay, your parents died of some sort of accident, or they didn't have, or they literally didn't love you and didn't want you. So someone who does want you and does love you takes you in. That should be the happiest thing in the world. It's like, what? Why are you degrading?
Really?
Why are you degrading adoption?
Because movies kept me sane. All right, this is something else I should say, but this is so
breaking
short.
Up a little.
Oh man, I probably got a bad connection. Let me check Discord. Am I coming in clear now?
Yeah, you are.
Okay, I don't need the OBS screen, so I'll just keep the Discord screen. Fuck, that's loud. Sidra obviously got to work. She said something in Gmail, G-chat, and it just in my ear. Oh, now I hear it on my cell phone from the bathroom. Okay, so my thing is, movies help me a bit because when I was like, is this why no one likes me in the family? Is this why everyone treats me like this? Is this why everyone stares at me the way they do? So, but then seeing movies about families and how they treat each other like shit, I was kind of like, that's worse than what I get. So it must not be too bad. So because of that, because of movies, I never really felt adopted. I just knew I was, but I never felt like I was, if that makes any sense.
It makes sense. And yeah, they're like my brother, you know how I am about my brother.
Yes.
He's a complete asshole. And for a long time, I was like, how are you even my family? Like that's how he treated me sometimes. like he's gotten way better about it, and we actually have a pretty healthy-ish relationship right now. But
so my question is one of you adopted, or is just how y'all are?
That's just how we all are.
Okay. I've seen siblings treat each other real bad, and I want to jump in and be like, "Hey, man, that's not cool." But then I see the other one get.
Here's the thing: even if you did jump in, neither of the siblings would take that well, because
yes, that's why I didn't.
They still love the person they're fighting with.
Because my thing would be,
what I mean?
Yeah, it's that. It's a bond that I don't know about. I have no idea. All I know is that's not right. That's not fair. Don't be that way. And my thing was, at least you got a sibling. Be nice. I don't have shit. I get picked on by everyone, and I have no one to have my back. So be happy that you got someone that's got your back. That's where I was coming from. I'm fucking like 10 and 13 when this shit was happening. So I'm just, and I've seen it more recently as well, but I'm like, I get it. To an extent, I get it. I don't like hearing it, but I get it.
Yeah.
It's frustrating, but I get it. I get siblings, y'all. I get them.
Yeah. It's one of the... and here's the thing about siblings, and I think this applies to friendships as well. If you have enough time with somebody that you can get into those kind of fights and come out the other side, still friends, still family, then that means they truly are friends and family.
Let's see. I didn't meet that person until I was playing Final Fantasy XI. He lives in Nevada. The people I grew up with that I had known for 23 fucking years, honestly, that's terrible. That's bad. They were bad. I'd known them, I grew up with them since I was 7.5. And they were not cool. And I understand why they weren't, but I'm like, that's not a good mental environment for me. That's,
yeah.
They grew up with some mean people, and I mean mean, MEAN. Hell, MEEN. All right, mean people. Them motherfuckers was mean and just rage. I mean, like roid rage from waking up in the morning to going to sleep. Roid rage level of anger. That shit wasn't cool.
That's a bit too intense.
Yes, and that's what they grew up in. So I'm like, I get it, and I'm not gonna. It was nothing I could do. It's like literally, you watch a family like, holy shit, they're like that, Whoa, fuck. You get scared. You get scared to even go to their yard, and then when you do go to the yard, it's like, okay, I'll just stay here. I'll stay on this side because I'm closer to my house than theirs. Although I'm like basically 20 times the distance from my house, I can get to my home in 3 seconds. Running my ass off, I'm going to get to that house in 3 seconds. Okay, if I got to teleport at some point, I'm getting there in 3 seconds. That shit's crazy. So yeah, I grew up seeing some serious abuse and stuff, and I remember thinking, that ain't going to be me. And it won't. I didn't get abused physically. No, I just got neglected. That's where that was. So my whole life was being not valid. And that's the thing. Yeah. That's the thing siblings have that they don't recognize. They're always validated. Even if it's like you do something and they come back, oh, that sucks. But you can at least say they noticed it.
Yeah, that's true.
They noticed it. Mine was pushed that over. Wow, it was in my way. You could have walked around and just keep on going. It's like, fuck it. And that's aunt and cousins. So, fuck. It's, you know, yeah, it wasn't cool. So I get siblings. You know, I just wish siblings would take more notice of each other than they do. I wish I had. I know I got a brother. My mom knows all about my brother for some reason, but won't tell me about anything. It's like he's 4 years older than you, and knows that I got supposedly two other brothers. My mom seems to know everybody about town, which is annoying. But she won't tell me shit. And this will segue into something. Goddamn, looking this shit up on Ancestry.com.
Oh God, that's why.
Because
why would you do that?
I don't have any other. I can't just go around and just grab someone by the lapels. Are you my brother? And then go to the next one. Are you my brother? I can't do that. So I gotta do it the only other way I know how. And I found like dozens of third and fourth and sixth cousins and a few second. And I realized the English language is wasted on all of humanity. So, because motherfuckers can't type, they don't know how to respond to shit. You know, it's like, hey, you're my second cousin, it says here. So where do we go from here? So the response, I've been doing this for 3 years and I'm really good at what I do. Yeah, that's not telling me shit.
What kind of response is that?
And then I'm like, what the fuck? So I'm like, I send back an asshole response, but I don't know what else to say. So I'm like, I've been doing this for 3 months and it says that I found you. Then he sends back, I wish you luck on your journey. I'm like, fuck, you're supposed to be the journey, you stupid motherfucker. You just,
Are you sure that dude's not a robot? What the fuck is that kind of response?
I have no idea.
That's the kind of response I expect from an answering machine.
Yes. And then
it's like, I wish you luck on your journey. What? What was the journey? What is this journey you're talking about?
Like, this is some stupid shit. This is like, what the fuck? And that was the first. And when I got that, when I saw that response in my email, and my daughter, she was coming around the corner, which I curse around her anyway. So, but I'm sitting there, I got pissed. Like, what type of Mickey Mouse shit is this? And she just busted out laughing. and she's like, that's funny. And then I'm like, no, you got to understand. So I'm like, look, this is what happened. So I bring her around. I'm like, this. Then I show her the conversation. She reads it, and she looked at me. She said, "Dad, that's stupid." I said, "Yes, yes, it is."
I think I'm on your daughter's side. That was pretty funny.
And she was 8 at the time. She was 8 at the time. So it's like, fuck. I'm like, this is some stupid shit, you know. And then I'm like, and it says you haven't fully filled out your profile. I'm like, all right, let me go fill this out. And then this one I was like, okay, 90% fuck Ancestry. Fuck you, fuck you, fuck you, fuck you. Because what happened was, this is small, but this damn thing says, what religion are you? And atheism was at the top. I was like, fuck you. I was like, you are assholes perpetuating this fucking lie because you're fucking stupid. You're in charge of Ancestry, but don't understand history. You're fucking stupid. That's a contradiction.
You know what? Here's a nice way to actually answer what they should be asking, if at all, which it really doesn't even matter. It's like, what is your cultural background? That's the same thing. That's the same thing as saying, what is your religion? Because that's all religion is at this point. It's a weird, messed up culture that basically tells you that fucking invisible space daddies control the universe.
I'm just like, man. Oh, I wish people understood the burden of truth. No, the burden of proof. The burden of proof. It's like, look, you come with the original claim, you got to prove it. It's that simple. It's that simple. We went over that in the last one, but people. But you got to keep going over the shit because people have goldfish minds. It's fuck. That's man. I could segue into so many things right now. I could segue into government, voting, polls, TV shows. Yeah. Good grief.
Well, I think that means that the coincidence of me almost being at the place that I'm going to is probably fortuitous.
Work sucks. Work sucks.
Yeah. And you know what? I actually like work to a certain degree. It is something that does make me happy to do, like, as weird as that framing is.
A place of work should be a place you go to relieve boredom, not to make somebody else richer.
To a certain degree, yes.
I only say that because I'm like, look, a manager or supervisor make $25, $35, and $45 fucking dollars an hour, and they'll do their best to pay your ass as little as possible when they're sitting there vying to get more money.
Right. I mean, yeah, at this point it is basically, hey, you're bored and have the correct skills for the thing that needs to be doing, come here. That is how it should be at this point, but yes. It's not.
And then it's worse if you're a woman, because if you're a woman and you go there and say, look, I need more money, then you're treated like shit and you might get fired, or they might just make your job a little bit worse so that you leave.
Yeah. That second thing is the absolute worst thing that people do.
And oh man, all the excuses to make sure a woman can't get paid or even have a job, that shit pissed me off. It really does. When she gets pregnant, she's got to be gone for like 4 or 5 months. I'm like, motherfucker, you do realize you came from somebody that was pregnant. You might want to have a little more fucking empathy, you fuck. I'm getting frustrated.
Hey, I gotta go.
Good. We can leave on giving birth to this conversation when I'm done, and get it up on YouTube.
Yep. I might be able to hop back in like 5-10 minutes if you want to wait for that.
I can. We can talk about something you want to talk about, because I'm just pissing myself off. So,
I mean, that's basically how most conversations go at this point.
Yeah, it is.
Like, society is that fucked.
It is. And we can talk about society when you can get back on Discord. All right.
Bye.
Bye.